And joining us now in the studio is Agnieszka Filipiak. She's a journalist and expert on the Caucasus region. Madam, a pleasure to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
All right, so just when everything seemed to be cooling down in the Caucasus, people thought that there would be peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan, that Georgia was moving towards Europe. We have this huge escalation of tensions in Georgia and now in Armenia. Let's start with Georgia, first of all. Why is the Georgian Dream Party, why did they force this foreign agents bill through right now? Is there a political purpose for this, perhaps for the elections coming up?
Yes, the upcoming election in October is a hot topic now in Georgia. And Georgian Dream just does not hide that the main goal for this law is to limit Western influence in the country. So we are quite sure, and what Mr. Bijina Ivanishvili, so the founder of the Georgian Dream, the ruling party, say that it's now time, because the foreign influence is really dangerous for the Georgian democracy. So, in my opinion, they are really afraid that they will lose the power in the upcoming elections. However, this still is like the biggest problem for the society, what we see, people on the street, that there is no political power, no opposition party in Georgia right now which is able to use the potential of the protest. Because these people on the street are not there because they want to support any politicians. They are against Georgian Dream. They try to just show European Union that they want to be the part of this community, but still is like it's not the Ukraine in 2014. So we have to always repair, because in Polish media it's also this kind of, yeah.
I'm really glad that you're raising that topic, because we do see that there is an extension. But what do you think now should happen, or do you think that another Euromaidan is possible now in Georgia, or do we see a totally different phenomenon?
No, it's totally different. Still, Georgian Dream, it's not Yanukovych. You have to remember that Georgian Dream used this double narrative. So on the one hand, they just repeat that, of course, they have to limit this Western influence. But on the other hand, it claims that the main goal of its foreign policy is the European Union. Even Ivanishvili or the Prime Minister, they just repeat that they will bring Georgia into European Union by 2013. It's not important if they do it, but it's important that they say it today, that just the course, the direction is still the same. And people on the street, they say, we want to change the power in the peaceful, democratic way. So we are waiting for the upcoming elections. And as I said, they also are waiting for some options for them, because there is no Saakashvili in the prison. It's like, it's not the answer for them.
That is certainly I wonder, do a lot of the Georgian people feel betrayed, at least those who voted for Georgian Dream? Because the Georgian Dream, basically, it was to join the West, but then the party is acting completely opposite to what they promised. Are people feeling betrayed by the party?
Part of them, yes, but still, European party has been in power for 12 years. So for them it's quite normal, and they cannot imagine that they will lose election, just join the opposition and maybe perhaps win another election. In Georgia, the election are a matter of power and control, and they're really afraid that after elections they can lose the power and maybe some investigation will begin. So, yeah.
All right, so is it possible that perhaps Georgian Dream isn't acting on the behest of the Kremlin, for instance? They're just worried about their own power within Georgia.
Yes, I will be not sure and really careful with this in saying that it's like just a short call between Ivanishvili and Putin, yeah? That they stay in touch, and maybe there's like Kremlin-based law. Of course, it's the same law is in Russia since 2012, and we know what it happened in Russia and how you can use this. But in my opinion, it's more guided by this desire to stay in power.
Right, but of course it's not totally unreasonable to draw this comparison. Of course, we do have to be vigilant with that, because we do know that some, let's say, external parties are funding now the party as such, and these funds are made also by doing business with Russia. So that's why I feel like there are some comparisons being drawn. But do you feel like how we can differentiate now the Russian influence or what is just basically being stirred within the country?
There's no doubt that there's big Russian influence in Georgia, and there's no doubt that, you know, the law is not a problem. You can imagine that it's Georgia, who is the country occupied by 20% of territory is occupied by Russia. It will be just change this, and the Georgian law will say, okay, we want to control the Russian influence. The bill will be okay for us, yeah. But still, and there's big Russian influence in the country, and they just, how to say, they don't mention about it. And quite sure, yes, there's Russian influence, that there's a cooperation between businessmen from Georgia and Russia, but still I will be very careful to say that this law is directly backed by Kremlin.
And I'm sorry that just to here bring another additional question here, because proponents of this bill argue that this very bill promotes transparency and also promotes foreign influence in Georgian politics. In fact, they compare it to the US Foreign Agents Registration Act, which dates to 1938. So why do you think that they try to draw this comparison to the American Act, and why do they try to advertise it as such?
You know, as I mentioned already, Georgian Dream does not hide the purpose, the main goal of this bill. They say there's organization that criticize, the media that criticize our government are our enemies, are now enemy number one. So they try to explain also most big to the society. They use the pro-government media, because what we see in this with this Tbilisi, there's a lot of streets, but we have to remember that the country is more complicated and people are different. In some parties in the countries, people, when they wake up, they don't think about this law. They think, okay, maybe today will be rain, and if it will be raining, it means that my child will have some problem to go to the school, because there's no normal way to this. You know, that it's like we see only the one picture from the Tbilisi, and we can say that it's huge support for against this law. There is no like any opinion poll that you can just based on it and say, okay, huge number of Georgians are against this law.
All right. Well, it remains to be seen what happens next. But now let's move south to Armenia. And now Armenia protests all over Yerevan. What's happening there, and why such huge protests? Is it mainly due to that one archbishop?
In this case, we can say that, like in Georgia, we can also put this in the one case with Russia. Everything is connected with Russia, also in Armenia. So this protest is something different, of course. What we know, there is a peaceful process between Azerbaijan and Armenia, which looks like a never-ending story, because when you think that it's almost close to...
We've seen it for decades, really.
Yeah, and it's now the Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, who is not from Nagorno-Karabakh, who really understands that Armenia's future is without Russia, and the only way to do it, to find some prosperity, to reach some prosperity for Armenia, is to close the conflict with Azerbaijan. But you have to remember that there's like two countries from decades who people in Armenia and people in Azerbaijan grow up with this hate against each other. So it's really difficult to say, okay, we just talk and we just give them 4 villages. And these protests are against just 4 empty villages that...
That's right, no one really lives there anymore, do they?
No. But if you put some border with Azerbaijan, and we know that for the people close to the border with Azerbaijan, like 2 weeks ago, the Azerbaijan army was 5 kilometers from you, and now it should be like 50 meters. So they are really afraid because they don't trust to each other. This protest, not this one, or this one, in Armenia are against this. But still, it's for us, commenters, publicists, and journalists from abroad, it's very difficult to reach some neutral information from the South Caucasus because everyone is engaged in this case. In Georgia, it's the same. In Armenia, so there's a lot of supporters. They just try to convince Pashinyan to just stop this peaceful process. Or this guy is like some priest from the region close to Azerbaijan. But who is behind this? Who made this? We don't know.
Do you feel like, because there are some, of course, speculation, and of course we do have to take it with a pinch of salt, that perhaps someone is trying to now put Azerbaijan and Armenia against each other, knowing that for decades, like you mentioned, there was some sort of animosity between the countries, and now, for instance, even within Armenia, we see that the opposition activists demand the resignation of Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, and they are mentioning that, well, like you mentioned, there's 4 villages or something enough, that we see that Nikol Pashinyan is not doing enough now for Armenian people, so perhaps he should now give the floor back to those who are able to maintain the situation. So do you think that we are facing an unrest that is perhaps now orchestrated by some third parties?
Yeah, no, what do you mean? Yeah, we all think about Russia in this way, but still, for a lot of people, Prime Minister Pashinyan just betrayed Armenia when they just lost Nagorno-Karabakh. And Russia also betrayed them. So there is not that they are towards Russia now. They try to think about maybe European Union is the solution, but it's not like in Georgia that they just like the idea of European Union the democratic way. No, it's still pragmatism. They need somebody who will protect them. If it's not a Russia, maybe it will be some Western countries. So in this way, and
where does Turkey stand in all of this?
Turkey is a long time ally of Azerbaijan. So, but still, I really believe that in some case economic ties are really important, and the border between Armenia and Turkey were for a long time already closed, and maybe this is somehow solution for this region, that maybe in some day they will see that there is some better things and good things in peaceful talk and economic ties than just army and shots.
Yeah, but it seems like the Armenians are all alone.
No, they have like ally like France. In European Union, this is a very strong voice in European Union, and you can see like last years that all the talks in...
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I believe that at some point now Emmanuel Macron mentioned that perhaps if Armenia needs it, then the troops will be provided in South Caucasus. So we do see that...
Macron sometimes say something also about the Ukraine. But even behind this kind of talk, there's like a huge business, because France start to sell a weapon to Armenia. So we can support you, but it's also good for our business. But still, I will not forgot about France, because this really strong voice, and Macron has his own idea to be like the leader of the European Union, and he always very often mention about Armenia.
So what about the US? Is US now perhaps being the new protector of Armenia? Because I feel like Armenia would want that pretty much.
It's difficult to say, and still South Caucasus is watching and waiting for upcoming elections in the United States. Not only because the politic towards South Caucasus, but also like Georgian dream in Georgia, they believe in Trump will win. They will just, how he said, he will end the war in Ukraine. So we will see new Russia, and new Russia after the war in Ukraine. It can be a big threat for South Caucasus, or I hope not, but still, it's they are still waiting for upcoming elections.
So everything comes down to elections within the US.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's the way we've brought it. So yeah, Mr. Trump is going to make some deals. Yeah.
I hope he will not win, if I can say that, because of Ukraine, because of South Caucasus. It's not my political view. Just I know what he said about it and about the war in Ukraine, about the Georgia and South Caucasus and Armenia also. So.
I guess that we'll have to just wait and see. Madam, thank you so much in the meantime for joining us and sharing your invaluable insights.
Thank you very much for this.